Thank you for joining me again on another video with Pop of Genius on urban politics. My name is Stacey J, and today we are talking about this impending 2026 energy shutdown. Oh my goodness. They're calling this pandemic style limitations on fuel, on electricity, on other items as well. We'll get into it. I started seeing some of the advertisings for news platforms coming in. Energy lockdown explained which countries are already affected. Again, India is one, Bangladesh is one. Australia is already starting to see certain pandemic style limitations on what days they can get fuel and what days they can't. Oil prices could get high enough to force a COVID level lockdown. That is something else. According to this other article with Medium, it says the energy lockdown has started. The war in Iran didn't just block a shipping lane, it started a dismantling the infrastructure. And I don't know if you've already started seeing videos of people drawing concern about this. Our administration has been really quiet about it. Hello. Thank you so much for your support, following the channel. You know, these are some really difficult times that are getting ready to come up, but I am still hopeful. I'm a Christian. I don't know about you, but I do believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. And even though politics is very important to me, I do know that there is a balance that's needed. And especially in this current moment in time. And now with the push for reduction in energy, where countries are already putting it into motion, and what that's going to look like here in the United States, I do not know. All I know is during the pandemic, we had our utilities. We had gas. We may have had lack of movement, okay, and lack of an ability to go out and purchase things on the retail shelves, but online shopping boomed. And if memory serves me correctly, if they're going to limit the amount of time and put curfews on society here in America, then with that should also come supplemental income. Because how can you go out and earn income if you're not able to use transportation? Or how can you earn income if you're limited in using electricity, fuel, gas, even gas to warm up stoves? Most commercial restaurants run on gas, and that's fuel. So let's listen to some of these videos on other people's perspectives to see what they're saying about this.
The reality is that this war in the Middle East is having a severe impact already on the entire Southeast Asian economy. So India imports about 60% of its oil from the GCC. Pakistan also imports a majority of its oil. Japan imports about 75% of its oil from the GCC. China imports about 40%. Okay, so all these economies are being impacted, and already Thailand, Vietnam are running out of fuel. And you go to a gas station, there's just more fuel for your motorbike. And now people are being forced to work from home. There's fuel rationing. There's no jet fuel. So this is impacting all of Southeast Asia. So the question isn't like who will be impacted, because everyone's impacted. The question is who will be most resilient and the most willing to innovate and adapt to this new reality. Because we're not talking about short-term war. We're talking about a long-term change to the global economy. And I think that China will actually be the least resilient and the least ready to adapt to this new reality, because for the past 30, 40 years, China has gotten very wealthy because of the global economy, where it imports cheap energy and exports manufactured goods. And the entire Chinese economy is currently based on this model. Now, for the past 20 years, China has been moving towards a consumer-based economy and more of an innovation-based economy, AI. But unfortunately, AI itself is dependent on cheap energy. And Chinese consumers are refusing to spend money for a variety of reasons, primarily because they are not that optimistic about China's growth in the future. So Chinese household savings is about 40%. And unless the government is able to get Chinese to spend more money, then it'll be very hard for the Chinese economy to move towards a consumer-based economy. So all of Southeast Asia will be impacted, and I think China will be impacted the most in the long term. Maybe not in the short term, because China still has access to Iranian oil. Scott Bessent announced today that they will lift sanctions on Iranian oil in order to make sure the global economy is not too impacted by this war. But in the long term, the Chinese economy, it is now much too focused on export and manufacturing in order to shift to a much more diversified economy.
We have major breaking news right now. Donald Trump will be announcing a national emergency on electricity after Ontario imposed a 25% tariff or surcharge on electricity coming into the United States, impacting 3 key states: Michigan, Minnesota, and New York. In a new Truth Social post, Donald Trump announced that he has instructed his Secretary of Commerce to add an additional 25% tariff to 50% on all steel and aluminum coming in from Canada. He will also be announcing this national energy emergency to immediately take effect within the next 24 hours. We are officially in a larger trade war. Even though Donald Trump suspended a number of tariffs under the USMCA until April 2nd, Canada did not back down, at least Ontario didn't, and well, now we're in a back and forth match.
I don't like the looks of this. Kinda seems like shutdowns are around the corner. As you can see right here from the International Energy Agency that they are advising work from home and to avoid air travel. And now the reason for this advisory is due to higher energy prices. Because the whole war with Iran, I'm sure you've heard about it. So now there are speculations of governments implementing some form of a shutdown just like in 2020. But instead of shutting down due to a virus, they will be shutting down due to gas prices. Or should I say energy prices. And now of course time will tell. We will have to wait and see if that unfolds. But I'm not sure about you guys, but I just kind of help but see how this is all orchestrated. As you guys remember, the whole Great Reset got to destroy the old system to bring the new one in. And with all the economic indicators flashing red, it's really hard to not see what's about to happen. And now, like I said, it is speculation, but can you not see that happening? Them shutting down in some form or fashion, or going back to rationing oil and rationing gas like the 70s? Or I could totally see it right now. Only essential workers can be out there on the roads, because if you're not essential, then you can't be wasting our gas.
You know who I feel bad for? I feel bad for any state if they actually go through with this time, because Canada has threatened it before, but Trump has always backed down. But now that he needs money for this conflict that he's got our country in. See, we're not in a conflict with Iran. He's in a conflict. Him and his phone is in a conflict with Iran. And now, you know who's going to suffer a lot from this? New York. Everything is already so expensive there. It's so expensive. This couldn't have hit at a worse time. And now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is a mess. This is a mess. If you work from home at this moment, thank your lucky stars. Thank God that you do not have to figure out how to get back and forth to work to be able to provide for yourself, because you have millions of Americans that are gonna have to figure that out, and that's gonna be very stressful, along with having to figure out how to get children back and forth to school, because that's also going to be an issue. Department of Education is going to have to address this as well. We're going to have an energy shortage. If there's going to be a shutdown for energy, which I see coming soon, because India, the Philippines, Bangladesh, and other parts of the Southeast are already on lockdown when it comes to fuel. Can you imagine filling up these big buses Thank God some of these school districts are getting ready to get out of school for the summertime. What about logistics of food? Oh my goodness. Transporting food back and forth to our grocery stores. I'm already starting to see shortages in particular stores, not big box stores, but like the Dollar Tree, Dollar Generals. Their inventory is starting to dwindle down. You got to get what you can get when you see it. And this is going to be the time where we're going to get back to shopping from our local farmers. Healthcare. That's another concern with a shutdown. See, at least the last time, they're comparing it to the COVID shutdown. At least with the last time, COVID didn't jeopardize our fuel sources, our electricity, our energy. You know, we were not in a conflict with another country. Now this is affecting our transportation in regards to our health care. Fuel runs our society along with data, but fuel actually comes first. And who would have thought that a little canal called the Strait of Hormuz in Iran, in Persia, would control our 2026? Nobody wants to take a chance on transporting their goods in this strait at this moment, even with some of the permissions that are happening with Iran, because America has not kept their word. And that's the reason why a lot of these other countries are not pushing, or our own countries are not pushing our ships through because of fear. Let me know what you think. Please like, share, and subscribe. This is a whole lot to think of. And again, even Australia is starting to see certain changes within their fuel, access to fuel. Just like he said earlier in this video, in one of the videos, this happened in the 1970s. I remember my dad telling me that there used to be lines that would go all the way around the corner for people waiting for one tank of gas, like one container of gas. You can only bring one container to get a little bit of gas, and you couldn't go far in your vehicles. And also too, they experienced blackouts during that time. So we are in for a ride for 2026. I am so glad that I know God. Oh my gosh, because without him, and remember, you know, on this channel, I parallel a lot of politics when it comes to religion, and especially my faith. And so I would encourage you, if you're not a person that is filled with faith, to start exploring that. My faith, I believe in Jesus Christ. And I tell you, if I didn't have him, I don't know how I would navigate even the basics of life. I couldn't imagine navigating life with the big things, the bigger things. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. Please give me some of your comments on what you think is going to happen. Do you think this is a bluff? Do you think that people are panicking in the United States? Or do you think that just like the Southeast and Asia, Australia, they're already going through some of these things, that we're going to experience some of that too? Thank you so much. You have a blessed rest of your day.